The Pies are ingenuine all sorts, to the point where Craig McRae spent 8 of his 10-minute press conference just apologising to the Collingwood fans and to Steele Sidebottom for the effort and the process and the system and everything that went into that game and how they just got completely annihilated. So if you're here, feel free to hit the subscribe button. We are going to look at what Hawthorn did so well, what Collingwood tried to do and just completely failed, what I think is the Pies' biggest issue at the moment, and so maybe some shining lights for the Hawks and the Pies. We're going to look at it all. We're going to break down some vision. Let's just get right into it because we have a lot to go through. So this was the Pies' plan. The Pies' plan was to be aggressive, was to trust their contest, was to trust their ball-winning ability and take the game on through the Hawthorn defensive structure. So we'll see Nick Dacos here straight into the first quarter. Look at his eyes, straight through the middle of the ground. This is something that we haven't seen from Collingwood in a couple of weeks. They did go through a period where they were kicking the ball like this. This is not the sort of long, direct kick that you get from most teams. This is a kick to a 2v1, almost a 3v1 in the middle of the ground. This is direct, this is aggressive, and this is just trusting your ability to put the Hawthorn defence on the back foot. And it does work in this situation. And this is what the Pies wanted to do all game. So you win the contest in the middle of the ground, you surge the ball forward, Brody Maitek picks up the footy, and he goes back and he kicks the goal. And that is exactly what the Pies wanted to do. They wanted to put the Hawthorn defensive structure on the back foot. They wanted to make the Hawthorn defenders second-guess themselves by being so direct and so aggressive. So the same thing here, Isaac Quaynor gets the footy here. This is usually the kick that we'll see, straight to Hoskin Alley. You have all this space, it's an easy kick to take. But look at his ability and his desire to take the game on, to be aggressive. Force all of these Hawthorn defenders to be on the back foot by being so aggressive. And what that does is it opened up the game for Collingwood. It actually did a really good job. It meant that they got direct access to one-on-ones inside their forward 50. And again, all we're talking about here is just winning the contest. All they wanted to do was just win contest, put the Hawthorn defenders on the back foot by being so aggressive. And early in the game, it was working. Again here, when Nick Dacos gets this footy on the boundary side of this contest, the easy kick here, this football is to Schultz, and you can go running forward along the boundary line. But again, what Collingwood wanted to do was to take the game on. So this is the kick that they were taking. Instead of taking the really simple, easy option to Schultz here, take the game on through the middle of the ground. Back yourself in to win this contest. And that is what opened up the game for Collingwood. That's the sort of disposal, and that's the sort of option that Collingwood wanted to take over and over and over again. And as soon as the Hawthorn pressure just dialed up a little bit, Collingwood couldn't deal with it, but then it was the exact opposite. Collingwood's pressure was really high, especially in the first half. And unlike the Collingwood players, the Hawthorn players were taking on that pressure. They were getting through that initial pressure. And as soon as you get through that initial pressure against Collingwood, you get such easy access to your forward 50. If you want to see exactly what that looks like, have a look at this. This is very late in the first quarter, so bang. Nash doesn't want to go forward. Happy to take this handball back and retreat almost, trusting that they're going to beat this initial pressure. So this contest right here is critical. For Collingwood, you have to stick this tackle because you commit so many numbers to this contest right now. As soon as you don't stick that tackle, now you're forcing all of your other players to come up. So Crisp has to come up into this contest. And look at this. Once we go to this wide angle shot right now, as soon as D'Ambrosio gets rid of that football, look at the amount of Collingwood players around this contest. There's 5 Collingwood players surrounding D'Ambrosio, and as soon as you get through that initial pressure, look at the amount of space that this Hawthorn team has now to go inside their forward half, to go inside their forward 50. This was just a common theme all around the ground. It was in the defensive half, it was in the forward half, but it was also around the stoppages. So, again, as soon as John Newcombe beats this initial pressure by Scott Penderbury, look at the space that the Hawthorn players have on the outside. And this happened all night. As soon as the Hawthorn players beat that initial pressure, they were open all across the field. It was actually kind of ridiculous. And we'll take a final example, and I just want you to contrast these two exact plays. So Massimo D'Ambrosio, willing to take this pressure on. And as soon as you do that, now the players are so far out of position that as soon as Amon gets this, now Ned Long is on the back foot. Tom Mitchell has to come up. And as soon as this handball goes through, how many times do we see a panic handball in this situation when Jarman Impey gets it? He's got 2 defenders around him. But again, this was what Hawthorn was so good at, was beating this initial pressure. And bang, as soon as he takes those first 2 steps, he is gone and the whole ground is now open for the Hawks, and he could realistically do anything that he wanted with the football right now. He gives the handball off to Nash, and again, they just have players out absolutely everywhere. Could have hit up pretty much every single forward that the Hawthorn Hawks have, but that is what I mean about beating the initial pressure. Now let's contrast it to Collingwood right now. So this is less than a minute later. This is as soon as Chol has kicked that goal. No ability to take on this game. No ability, no desire to try and force CJ into any sort of discomfort. No ability to take the ball up the line. No ability to take the ball through the middle of the ground here. How often do we see in this situation Collingwood take the game on, give the ball to Quain or give the ball to Long here through the middle of the ground, give the ball to Pendles, but they just had no ability to break through this initial Hawthorn pressure. And as soon as you do that and as soon as you kick the ball up the line, now you're putting your forwards in a situation they don't want to be in, because we know the Collingwood forwards aren't necessarily the best contested marks in the league. And as soon as you do that, bang, Hawthorn get the football and they can rebound straight through the middle of the ground. And look at all the Collingwood players, 3, 4, 5 steps behind, and that is not what you want to see. So the difference here, the difference that we saw all night was Hawthorn's ability to break through that initial pressure and open up the ground, and Collingwood just completely unable to do the exact same thing going the other way. And I don't want to show pretty much every mark inside forward 50 because we would just be here for hours. But even when Collingwood were able to slow Hawthorn down, even when they were able to force them to kick long inside their forward 50, look at the sort of work that they were able to do. So we'll see that Houston has Chol in this situation right down at the bottom of your screen. Look at how close they are in this situation right now. But as soon as this ball comes in long from Lloyd Meek, look at Chol's ability to just take this mark, 2v1, Billy Frampton coming over as third man in the air. How many times did we see a Gunston or a Lewis or Cole Shadir took like 3 mark of the year contenders? Lloyd Meek went down there, kicked 3 goals, 2 marks on the goal line. Those are the sort of contests inside the forward 50 that Hawthorn just completely dominated. So you win around the contest, you win contested football, you win marks in the air inside your forward 50. You are just completely going to dominate a team if you can win all those areas, and that's exactly what Hawthorn did. But if you stuck around this far, you may as well subscribe. So please subscribe if you like these sort of breakdown videos talking about teams, players, everything else in between, everything footy related. Let me know if you want to see any specific teams or players or tactics or anything down in the comments below. But I'll see you next time, maybe tomorrow. Cheers.